This is Chapter 3, Section 4, Article 4, 5, 6, and 7 of the Constitution. Article 4 of the Constitution, what it does is that it ensures the rights and rights of the states are respected by the national government and other states. It's called the Full Faith and Credit Clause. Each state must honor the laws of each other states, and really the best way to go about this and explain what Article 4 does is to explain some of the examples, such as driver's license. If you have a driver's license that you obtain in Pennsylvania, if you go to any other state in the United States, that state has to honor that driver's license. They can't say, well, you can't drive in our state because you don't have a driver's license. Well, I do. It's from Pennsylvania. So people in Ohio, the police in Ohio, have to honor that you do have a driver's license even though it was issued in another state. Another is a marriage license. So each state has to honor that if you got married in one state, they have to honor that that is a legal marriage throughout the United States. All the states must honor that. If you're convicted of a crime, other states have to recognize that it's actually part of your FBI record, and any state can look that up. You know, states cannot create a safe haven for a criminal. It's not like you know, you commit a crime in Pennsylvania, you can't go to, you know, West Virginia, and they're not gonna, all because you cross the border doesn't mean that you're safe. You know, states have to give you up if you're committed a crime in another state. So the police force is supposed to work together. Article 4 also ensures that each state has a fair government, a representative government. Like Pennsylvania has its own legislative, judicial, and executive branch. Like the executive is the governor. You know, it's pretty much, you know, each state has their own government. And they all look pretty much like the national government. And then people have the right to choose their representatives in each state. And it guarantees that the national government will protect states against invasion or insurrection. That means that if, you know, Pennsylvania gets attacked by, you know, England or anything like that, the United States government and military is going to help them out. But the insurrection, this was kind of a direct correlation between Shays' Rebellion. Remember, Shays' Rebellion was this rebellion in Massachusetts farmers that just couldn't be put down because there was no national military. It just lasted a lot longer than it should. If there was a rebellion in the United States, it would be put down much faster. Article 5 outlines the process of changing the Constitution. It's called amending, and the changes are called amendments. The framers of the Constitution wanted to do this. They wanted to create a flexible living Constitution that could last through generations. They knew that the laws that they created in the 1780s, that they were going to change, you know, in 100 years and, you know, 200 years away. So they made this Constitution, a living, flexible document to be changed with the times. You know, as the American people change and the culture change, so should the laws. And Article 5 also outlines the formal amendment process. So pretty much 3/4 of the states need to approve an amendment before the amendment becomes a part of the Constitution. So 3/4 of the states have to approve. So this is kind of, it gets proposed, you know, there's a couple ways. By 2/3 of the members of the House or Senate. So like a congressman from either Senate or the House proposes an amendment. If it's passed, you know, by 2/3 in the House and Senate, then it moves on to ratification. Then it goes to the state governments. This hardly happens in a convention called by the state. I think it only happened once. It usually has to go to the legislative branch first. So some examples that, you know, that was just so important to have this Article 5 in the amendments is, you know, the first 10 amendments, really important. Gave us the Bill of Rights, freedom of speech, you know, freedom of religion, and all that. And we'll get more The next chapter actually goes through all the Bill of Rights, but that's really important. The 13th Amendment, like even though there was still slavery when the Constitution was created, the ability to have these amendments to change it, and so after the Civil War they were able to change it and they were able to abolish slavery. That's the 13th Amendment. And the 19th Amendment gave the women right to vote. So as culture changes and as people change and opinions change, the Constitution can change with it. Article 6 enforces that, hey, the national government is the supreme law of the land. The states have power with their own states, but they do have to listen to the Constitution and what the national government wants them to do. And that really just keeps the states together and keeps us in a union and our ideals, the American ideal, solidified. And no state can go against the Constitution. That's more like if Texas wanted to enact slavery again, like they couldn't do that, or not let women vote, like they can't do that. They have to adhere to the Constitution. What if they don't adhere to it? Well, then the United States military is coming in. Then Article 7, pretty much that just establishes the procedure to ratify the Constitution. So 9 out of 13 original states are needed to ratify the Constitution. We already talked about that. And 9 out of 13 did. That's why we have the Constitution today. So there is some limits to the national government that are present in the Constitution. It's not all powerful. It is really based on popular sovereignty, which means that the government can only govern as long as the people are willing to follow this. It protects people from an oppressive government. The colonists and the founding fathers, they didn't want another oppressive government like England was. So the government itself is never above the law. So Americans never really have to worry about a government that's just going to make their lives oppressive. And no one is above the law. Alright, federalism, that's the division of the powers between the states and the national government. So the states have powers, the national government have powers, and then they share some powers. So reserve powers are the ones for the states only. And those are to establish public schools, conduct elections. So schools are run by the states. Does the national government make sure that everything's going all right? Sure. But the states kind of run public schools, conduct elections. The states kind of decide how they're going to go about conducting their own elections, establishing local government, like the state kind of controls like county governments and stuff like that, and like your township governments. Like the national government has no part in that. Punish criminals, that's really a state thing. The state laws and everything like that, that's all run through, crime, that's all state run. Driving laws like speed limits and everything like that, that's all done by the state. Delegated powers, those are powers that reside with only the national government. And only the national government can declare war, coin money to make money. There's not like a Pennsylvania dollar. Pennsylvania can't declare war on Canada or anything like that. To create a military, and also Pennsylvania can't add new states. Like, there's this random island found. They can't be like, oh, hey, you can be a new state. No, the United States all has to agree on admitting new states to the Union. And that hasn't happened. We have had 50 states for a long time. And establish treaties with other countries. Pennsylvania can't make secret deals with other countries. Only the national government can. Concurrent powers are powers shared by the state and federal government. Both the federal and state governments can collect taxes, establish courts, borrow money from other countries if they need to. Like Pennsylvania can't go and say, hey, China, can we have $1 million? Like that. That just doesn't happen. provide for public welfare programs. Like state has some welfare programs, but so does the national government with the whole healthcare thing. So both the state and federal government will help and maintain law and order. Like we have the National Guard, but then the states have their own state police. So there's protection on both levels, national and state. And then we have checks and balances, which gives each branch a limit to power that they have. So each branch can check the other. This prevents one branch from becoming way too powerful. And some of these examples are that the legislative branch can impeach or charge a president of a crime in the process to remove them from office. Bill Clinton was impeached. He was probably the latest one to have that done because he lied to the American public. He did not get removed from office, but he was charged. The president can veto anything that the legislative branch, any law that the legislative branch proposes. Veto, like we discussed before, just says he denies it. And the judicial branch can declare a law made by Congress as unconstitutional. And we'll get more into the checks and balances later, but that is pretty much some examples how each branch cannot become too powerful. See how they all check each other if you look at the chart. All right, that concludes chapter 3, section 4.